ask that you hear me out with this bold claim, which is healthy keto, when done properly, automatically means that you're naturally going to also be doing intermittent fasting. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel is just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learned along the way. As you may have gathered from the intro and the title, I genuinely believe that doing the clean and healthy version of keto properly is the perfect marriage with intermittent fasting, specifically fasting with a maximum eating window of 6 hours per day. Now, if you saw my goals video for 2020, you'll know by now that I was really shocked with a diagnosis of being dangerously pre-diabetic, despite having changed my lifestyle significantly since I did the slow carb diet. At this point, I've been doing healthy keto and a 20 by 4 hour intermittent fasting schedule for over a month. But before I even started doing this, I went down a ridiculous scientific journal rabbit hole, which is all to say that even though I'm most certainly not a doctor and I'm not going to pretend to be one, I did more research on this than I had ever done on literally anything else in my life. As I now enter into month 2 of the Keto and IF challenge, I'm ratcheting it up even more, going to a 23-hour fast and a 1-hour eating window with OMAD, 1 meal a day. I'm not suggesting that you should do that, it's just what I'm doing because I'm genuinely full all the time. And also, I've seen incredible results for both fat loss and literally reversing that diagnosis out of pre-diabetes to a normal blood sugar level consistently without any medications. So the two sections of this video that I want to use to support that claim, that clean and proper keto is the perfect match with intermittent fasting of at least 18 hours a day, well, those two sections are going to be section 1, satiety and macros, and section 2, results in both quantitative and qualitative metrics. Going to macros and satiety, generally speaking, I mean, people's different percentages work and everyone's body is slightly different, but the general prescription of the ketogenic diet is to get 70% of your calories or your intake from fat, 20-25% of your caloric intake from protein, and 5 to 10% of your caloric intake from carbs. Now, building your meal profile from the ground up, you generally want to keep your daily carb intake in terms of grams. In a perfect world, less than 20 grams, but definitely no more than 50 grams per day. I'm sure you already know this if you're watching this video, but net grams are calculated as on a food label, however many grams of carbs total minus the amount of fiber grams. Because even though fiber is a carbohydrate, it does not spike insulin and in fact counteracts what regular carbs, sugars, would effectively spike up in terms of insulin in your body. So based on the research, my evidence to support the claim I made at the beginning that when you do healthy and clean keto properly, it automatically means that you're also going to be doing intermittent fasting is because when you have the proper meld of all of your macros, carbs, protein, and fat, and you're getting all of the micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals that your body needs, that combination will just naturally make you so full and satisfied that you don't even need to think about food for more than 18 hours a day. But let's take a quick look at the macros themselves and their behavior as they relate to insulin. Everybody knows that when you have sugar, you get a spike and then you crash hard real fast. This is whether you're having chocolate, candy, rice, bread, whatever. And when it comes to proteins, your insulin does spike, but you'll notice that it's nowhere near as high a spike as sugar, and it takes a significantly longer time for it to actually quote-unquote crash. Now, fat, as you can see, not only barely increases the insulin spike, but also pretty much doesn't crash at all. And so the whole point of talking about the behavior of these different macros as they relate to insulin spiking and crashing, all has to talk about satiety. How much of a signal your body tells your brain, yep, I'm good, I'm full, I'm satisfied. The interesting thing about sugars and carbs is they don't even give that signal, which means the more carbs you eat, the more sugar you eat, the hungrier and more snackish you get. Beyond that, what's really interesting about all three of these macros is that carbs and sugars are literally the only thing that our bodies do not need from external sources. Typically, for most of our diets, what we're doing now is we're eating quite a bit of carbs and sugars, and then our body is converting that into glucose and using glucose as a fuel source. The body is able to use two things as fuel source, glucose or ketones. Glucose is derived from sugar, and ketones are derived from fat. But this whole thing about saying that our bodies literally don't need external glucose because the glucose that our bodies do need, we're literally able to make it internally, inside our own bodies, independently of any other food, means that that food pyramid we've been taught is all wrong. In other words, fact, we do not need to consume carbs and sugars. So to recap this section real quick, the reason why we want so much fat is because, again, looking at the behavior of fat as a macro when it comes to insulin spiking, it increases insulin the absolute least, and it keeps us full for the longest out of all the macros put together. together. So you can see now why I genuinely believe that if you're doing keto, healthy keto properly, it's pretty natural to be intermittent fasting anyways, because all of that fat that you're taking in, those healthy fats, are just keeping your body, telling your brain that you're full until the next meal. Now, before I get into the second portion, I just want to remind everybody, and also thank anyone who already is, for following me on Instagram, where I have to post my meals every single day on keto, as well as a tip or lesson I learned to the stories and highlights. If I fail to do so, it's my mechanism to help keep me accountable. The first person that calls me out if I don't do any of those things automatically gets $200 via PayPal. So that first reason about satiety and macros, that all had to do with the real physical, scientific aspect as to why I believe that healthy keto and intermittent fasting are a match made in heaven. But now let's talk about, aside from the physical, the psychological. I have never been so motivated, not from the slow carb diet, not from any kind of effort period, than I have been for the past month. Again, I've only been doing Keto and IF for 1 month. But both the quantitative and qualitative metrics, the results, have really motivated me like nothing else. And that physical and scientific reason of why it's almost natural to be fasting if you're doing keto healthily and properly translates into accelerated results. I'm blown away by the results. And you can watch my 30-day results in this video right up here. And so the physical fact that I genuinely don't feel hungry and I'm easily able to go 20 plus hours before my next meal, combined with the amazing health results, is just so psychologically motivating for me to just keep on going and making this into a true lifestyle change. Beyond the quantitative metrics of normal blood sugars, dramatic yet healthy fat loss, weight loss, drop in BMI, are additional qualitative benefits. Things like I never get that post-meal fatigue anymore. And of course, what you can see all over the glorious interwebs is that so many people purport better focus, and it definitely rings true to me. I'm just so much more focused on everything that I'm doing. This is one of those videos that I could just keep on going forever. Just like the sheer amount of research I've done, I could really dig that hole. But I just want to give this overview point, and if you have any questions or you want to debate anything, be sure to hit the comments below. If you got value out of this video, please hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video where I talk about how keto plus intermittent fasting truly maximizes results in minimal time. See you then.